What's good, YouTube? All right, we have a probably relatively quick study with me. So hopefully you guys are able to join, tune in, and we'll get a little bit of work done together on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Turn this music down a little bit. Always feel free to let me know if the background music, I always have some lo-fi vibes going in the background. Let me know if it's too big or too loud and too quiet or whatever. But today's gonna be relatively quick. We're gonna just get probably 2 sessions in. That's what I'm planning so far. I have kind of something to get to later, but I had a long call week this week and my schedule gets all messed up, because I'm working 24-hour shifts or tons of night shifts. And then during the day, it's basically just survival and hard to kind of get my studying and get my work in. So, let's go, Timothy. Taking step 2 tomorrow. You're going to absolutely crush it, man. Prayers going up to you. You're going to absolutely crush it. Once step 2 is off your back, medical school feels like there's just so much less stress because that's the big one. You're going to crush it though. So we'll get a couple hours in. As always, phones need to be up. I will do my job. Hold myself accountable here. No phones, even during breaks. And we're just going to crush it. Let me know what you guys are studying. I know, Timothy, you're going to be getting some step 2 work in. I'll be doing a little bit of some prep, some general orthopedic surgery studying, but also prepping for a big case that I have tomorrow. It's a multi-leg knee, so ACL and posterior lateral corner and just a complex knee case. So we'll be doing that. And of course, love to engage with people in the chat. So shout out Timothy, shout out Only God Daily. I love it. You're always in here. And Jackson, shout out to you. It's my name's JR, not Junior, but JR does usually symbolize Junior, but for me it symbolizes John Rudolph. But I appreciate you being here, Jackson. Love it. So we'll get some work done. I have 2 cameras, so you guys will be able to see kind of what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. right, session 1 in the books. Let's see what the chat's talking about. Yes, sir. Ferris made it happen. Had to make it happen. Banging out some secondaries. Talking about the Mayo patient-centered question asks why the Rochester won over the other tracks. Definitely one thing. I'm clearly biased because I went to the Rochester Mayo Clinic medical school campus. But the Rochester is where the hospital, the Mayo Clinic, is located. And the hospitals are very different. The hospital in Arizona and Florida are different than the hospital in Rochester, and they're perceived differently, but also they function a little bit differently. The medical school just in general is essentially the same, especially for your pre-clerkship experience. Everybody uses third-party resources. Medical school for the first year and a half to 2 years is essentially sketchy, Bors and Beyond, whatever third-party in Anki, UWorld. Everybody uses that, so it's pretty equivalent. But during your clerkships, you will be spending the majority of your time in a hospital setting. And the hospital in Rochester has a unique experience compared to any hospital in the world, in my opinion. It's kind of a destination medical center. And so, we're taking care of the local Minnesotan and, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, the kind of local patients here. But we're also taking care of people who are flying from all over the world to get their care at the Mayo Clinic. And that is happening in Rochester, Minnesota, not necessarily the other campuses. The other campuses function more like typical local hospitals. But the kind of hub of the Mayo Clinic is in Rochester. And so having experiences, where you are exposed to very, very unique cases, those zebra cases that you otherwise may just read in a textbook, but actually having those, you're going to have a higher opportunity of experiencing that in Rochester compared to the other campuses. So that would be kind of my 2 cents on how you could potentially, answer that question. Neil, how much do I study despite being a surgical resident? So a lot of my studying at this point is, a lot of it is still kind of, just studying, reading, that kind of thing. But it's also preparing for cases, which is kind of what I'm doing today, which I don't know if you guys have seen some of the stuff I was doing. Basically just case prep for, a big case that we have, a big multi-leg knee case that we have tomorrow. So just preparing for the case, making sure I'm up to date on my anatomy, the kind of surgical approach and the procedure. So that's what a lot of my studying is. And then I also still do in this form, it's ortho bullets, but it's still, flashcards and practice questions. So it's still a part of my studying, but it's a little more multifaceted. But no matter how far you get in this journey, there will always be reading to do, preparation to be had. So that's kind of a non-negotiable, never-ending thing. And that's why this idea of I embrace lifelong learning that all pre-med students talk about in their applications, it's important because it is a lifelong process. You are the best. What's up? Timothy, how did you feel while taking step 2? Did you feel great walking out? I definitely did not feel great walking out of step 2. I felt like, that happened. And then for the next few days, I was incredibly anxious, but then kind of had a come to Jesus moment with my wife. Really, my wife was the sound mind. And just was like, you know what, let's get to the point of focusing on things that we can control and not things that we can't. We did our best on the things that we could control, which was preparing for step 2 throughout the first, 2.5, 3 years of medical school, doing Anki every single day, continuing to review, studying, doing, 200 practice questions a day during my dedicated time. I did the thing that I could control. I put my best foot forward on test day. And then when the test was submitted and I now could not control what the outcome was going to be, when I was going to get my score, all of those kind of things, practicing that art of worrying about what I can control and not what I can't. It is incredibly hard, but it is a skill that serves every pre-med med student physician very well, because that's a part of this career path. So I took it as a challenge to start to build that skill, and it's hard. But whenever the worries and concerns about things that I couldn't control would come up, I remember that I'm in a season right now where I'm challenging myself to work on this. So I'm going to breathe it out and get my brain focused on something else. And of course, it's a challenge. The concerns kept coming, and I would just remind myself that I'm practicing something. But that's all to say that no, I did not feel great coming out. But I don't think anybody really feels great coming out because you're only thinking about the things that you didn't know, not all the things that you did. Kia, what's up? Currently studying for your DPT boards. Let's go. Let's go. Yep, Ferris. Happy that was able to help, man. Oh, I forget. See, I always do this. I always forget to set our break timer. That's not intentional, I promise. We'll do 12. I probably was talking for like 3 minutes. You med, since you changed how you study with time, would you be interested in making a video on how you would study for the MCAT if you were taking it now? It's a really good question. One thing that I will recommend is my like kind of mentorship community. We actually just had an MCAT event yesterday where some of the people on our team, people who are like 90+ percentile scores on the MCAT, kind of share their wisdom on how to approach the MCAT. So the general principles for how I study are the same and will probably always be the same just because it's what science says we should be doing with studying in terms of spaced repetition and active recall. So flashcards and practice questions are everything, not reading textbooks, things like that. And so I don't know if I could make an effective video on how to study for the MCAT since I'm so far removed. But that being said, I did just make a video on kind of it's essentially like how doctors study. It's actually my last video that I dropped yesterday. And so I would recommend checking that one out because those principles would work whether you're studying for the MCAT, whether you're studying for step 2, whether you're studying for your board exams, which I'll be doing, all of those like in training exams, all that kind of stuff. It all stems on the same kind of foundation of study principles. So I don't know if I could do a new MCAT video, but what I can do is have our experts in the MCAT, continue to provide resources and stuff like that, and MCAT specific guidance. So if you're not in the Teach As You Learn community, I definitely highly recommend. And with that being said, I do use this time to share kind of the resources that I do have available to students. So I always like to really focus on one resource that I think is the bread and butter of really everything that I teach and talk about. So if you like any of the stuff that I talk about or anything on my channel, then I really think that you would like this big resource that I have, my course. So let me see here. Let's see. It always takes me a minute to figure out the best way of getting this going. So this is my course homepage. So it's called the Evolving Student Challenge, essentially 30-day challenge where every day you're going to get a video. It's like 5-minute video that's going to share some insights about how to become an elite learner. I've done a lot of research and studying on how to study efficiently, effectively, to get the most out of your time, because it can be hard for me, especially when I have 2 kids, family, very busy with, my medical responsibilities, clinical duties as an orthopedic surgery resident, and also building, this channel, creating content, growing a business, all of those kind of things. And being able to do the studying in a very efficient but yet an effective way was critical for me. And I think it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people. So this is a 30-day challenge where you're going to basically learn everything that took me much more than 30 days to learn. And not only that, but you'll also be able to incorporate it into your own life, because we have a Notion template that you'll be able to get access to. It's kind of this is a general kind of thing about what it looks like. And actually what I can do is I can show you what the Notion template looks like. But what I'll say is not only do you get this, but you get lifetime access into my Teach As You Learn community that I briefly mentioned. And so it's essentially a community where we have monthly events. Like I said, yesterday we just had an MCAT event, but we have events on, I think the next event that we're going to be doing is doing well on interviews. And then after that, we're going to be doing like sub-Is for medical students who are, in the sub-I season. So all of that, I think, is something that I highly recommend. Let me see. Is this? Oh, perfect. No, that I highly recommend, students start to become aware of. So I'll briefly show you guys what the Notion template does look like. Let's see here. All right. So we will. Let me see. Here it is. So this is what the Notion template would look like. So you get access to this and we walk through building a workspace that kind of has everything that you need to do well, I think, as a student. Goals, habit tracking, place for your projects, research projects, personal projects, to-do list, place for your notes, something here, and you personalize all of this to basically your own life. And we kind of walk through doing that. And so, this is just, I think, one of the many reasons why having a second brain is valuable, a place to kind of dump everything. But if you're interested in the course, in the Notion template, in the community, all of these things, it's like I think the highest yield value proposition on the planet. But of course, I'm biased here. But hopefully you guys check it out. The link is in the description as always. And I'm always happy to answer questions regarding that. What's up, Jared? Nice to see you, bro. Were you still squeezing as much sketchy in for step 2 during 3rd year, or was it more unlocking new cards based on sketchy videos? Yeah, for sure. So I wasn't actually watching a lot of videos during 3rd year during clerkships. Much of my studying was still Anki, but it was basically just UWorld and Anki. For pre-clerkship, in my case, was 2 years. It was basically sketchy and Boards and Beyond and Anki. But then 3rd year clerkships, it was essentially UWorld and Anki. So I didn't actually watch many videos, and the learning really just came from practice questions and clinical experiences, things like that. All right. For these last 5 minutes, I'm going to run, probably grab something to eat really quick, and I will see you guys in a bit. Ooh, just made it. This is not brain food. Don't judge me. Y'all are seeing the real live. But sometimes you just gotta get some carbs in, some calories, because I'm dying right now. So we got the quick pizza. I left with like 4 minutes, so hopefully y'all aren't judging me. All right, let's get back going with another 45-minute work session. Let me know what you guys are cranking away with in the chat. Let me know what questions you got. And we will get to those after this grind. All right, y'all. What's up, fam? Sorry, I literally didn't even see that the timer went off. But I also needed to add some personal time for me because I did take a quick break from a study session, which I usually don't do. I usually wait for the breaks, but duty calls sometimes, babies and all that kind of stuff. But what's up, Nori? You stopped watching the other one to join the live one. I absolutely love it. Hope your week treated you well as well. You guys are fantastic. Let's see. Should we go for another hour? I think we can go for one more hour. I think we go for one more hour. Let me see here. I will put our break up. All right. Take a quick 15 and then we'll go for one more hour. We got it, guys. We got it in us. Hopefully, if this is your first one, I was gonna say hopefully this isn't your first one, but it probably is your first one. One of the things that I highly recommend during the breaks is avoiding your phone. You can see mine is right there. I keep it there so that you guys can see it. It holds me accountable. You know, no cheating on my end. But there's a lot of data on, you know, not distracting yourself during breaks from studying. And usually what I used to do is take my phone and scroll Instagram or like play a game of like Clash Royale or something, you know, just like do something to just like make my mind continue to be busy during break sessions between work. But it's not good for actually remembering and cementing all that work that you just did into your brain. You actually like lose some of it if you make yourself busy doing things like rapid spike dopamine activities, scrolling Instagram, anything really on your phone. Let's see. What's up, Victory War? Let's go. Ariel also studying for your PEDS exam. Let's go. Oh, Ferris, you might need some post-study pizza. So sorry, I may have promoted that a little bit earlier. I love it though. Ferris, let's do it. Jared, what's up, man? Did you suspend all cards after step 1 was done, or did you keep them rolling? So after step 1, I suspended only step 1 cards. A lot of them are tagged with both step 1 and step 2, so I kept those. Anything that was tagged with step 2, I kept in the rotation, but I suspended everything that was solely step 1 after taking step 1, which was like 80% of the cards. So it was like one of the most satisfying things that you can experience as a Ankier is suspending like 80% of your cards and then going from a deck of like, or like your daily, you know, requirements of, I don't know, 300-400 to like 18 or something. It's like, oh my goodness, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it builds, of course, you know, as you go through clerkships. But I definitely suspended only the step 1 stuff. Let's go, Arpith. Welcome. Studying for 2nd year finals in India. That's amazing. Welcome. Wishing you all the best in those finals for you. One of the things that I'm doing now, so I have quite a few like kind of tasks that I just need to do, and usually try to save them for these. Like I mentioned earlier, some of it is just actually really studying. Some of it is prepping for clinic or the OR, and a lot of it is other kind of just administrative things like updating my CV to apply for certain stuff, or you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you just have administrative tasks to do and you want to do that with me too, the study with me's are also good opportunities to do that. You know, I just say study with me because I feel like that's what everything on YouTube says, and I don't know, work with me or do administrative tasks with me probably wouldn't be appealing. But this is definitely a space to just get some stuff done. And the goal is, if you dedicate some time to just doing this with me, then the rest of your day and hopefully the rest of your week, you'll have a much lighter load on your shoulders, and you can enjoy the day knowing that you did the stuff that just needed to be done. Because sometimes, actually all the time, starting is the hardest part. And if you have somebody to start with, it lowers that activation energy for you a little bit. And if you sit down and you're just like, I'm going to do this study with me for 3 hours, you're going to get a lot of those to-dos off that you've been procrastinating with, or a lot of the studying that just needs to get done. And then you'd be surprised at how freeing the rest of the day and the rest of the week can be. with a little bit of lighter load on your shoulders. So hopefully we're experiencing all of that, and we will experience all of that by the end of this. We have 1 more hour left. Love it. Howard, what's up? Thanks for keeping us accountable. Oh, studying for hormone digestion. You got that. I don't remember anything about that. But I'm happy that you're learning it, and I'm sure you're going to absolutely crush it. Question here: how do you balance research deadlines with finals also coming up? It seems so overwhelming. Totally feel that. I experience that a lot, and actually what I'm working on right now is some research. One of the things that I think I've realized is that I used to kind of need deadlines to make me like do the work. So I wasn't that productive with research until like a deadline was coming up, or with studying until finals were coming up. And that usually does lead to stress and overwhelm. That being said, if you're able to chip away at things in small chunks, then when all the deadlines come up, you're not really changing your level of intensity. Because that's usually where the overwhelm comes in, is because you kind of go from low intensity studying or work with the research into a spike of high intensity. I need to spend tons of hours doing this so that it gets done. And that kind of shift in intensity usually comes with some anxiety or some nervousness and stuff like that. And I definitely resonate with that, and I still experience that. And that will never not be the case pursuing a career in medicine, because there's just lots of things to do, and you can't always chip away slowly at everything. But if you do set yourself up where you just do 1 to 2 hours of research a week, and 1 to 2 hours of studying a day, then you will be in a position where you don't have to change that routine when you get near the deadlines. That being said, if you're close to the deadlines right now, which it seems like you are, and you're just like, all right, I just I can't do everything, and that sounds great, JR, that you want to do that, but I have a week to get ready for both of these things. If that's the position that you're in right now, one thing that I recommend is time blocking. Time blocking is a phenomenal practice. Essentially, it's just blocking off a chunk of time to do one thing. And the benefit of that is that you give yourself the mental kind of relief of just knowing there's only one thing on your plate right now. And, for an hour or 2 hours or however long you want to make that time block, the only thing you have to think about is that studying. You'll make a separate time block later in your schedule, in your calendar, for the research. And then when that time block comes up, the only thing you have to think about is that research. But if you just have on your calendar, for example, like work, then in your mind, you'll be juggling multiple different things that all qualify as work. And it's hard to stay focused on one thing, and it's much more you're much more likely to have anxiety while doing that. And so time blocking helps, because you're able just to say, this is the one thing that I'm doing, and I give myself permission to not worry about the research during this study time block, and vice versa. So I think time blocking is really helpful, because you'll get the productivity done, and hopefully without the stress. Victory War, I'm on the outside looking in. Please drop some MCAT wisdom. We talked a little bit about this earlier. I wish I had more MCAT wisdom. I'm so far removed from the MCAT that I don't have specific wisdom related to the MCAT anymore. I took that, I think, let's see, when did that's 7-8 years ago or something like that. So I'm a little bit removed, but I know general study principles apply to the MCATs as well. And I just dropped a video showing basically all of those study principles, spaced repetition, active recall, all those kind of things, in my most recent video that came out yesterday. So those gems will hopefully be applicable to the MCAT as well. But I spoke about this earlier in this live. We actually just had an MCAT session in my Teach As You Learn community. It's a community of pre-med and med students from all across the world, and we just get together and learn from each other. And we have monthly Q&A sessions with me, and monthly events that I host like 90% of. But the other ones that I do not host, one of which happened yesterday, was about the MCAT, and we had 2 or 3 95th plus percentile MCAT scores going through specifics related to the MCAT. And so feel free to join the community and watch that recording back, because it is recorded, and so you can kind of see all of those pearls from people who did a lot better on the MCAT than I did. Applying for opto next year. What do you think? I think opto is a phenomenal field. I think it's a great opportunity to do something surgical. The eyes are probably one of the most valuable organ systems in the body. I don't know if it's better than bones. That's an ortho bias for sure. But no, I think ophthalmology is a phenomenal field, and it also offers the opportunities to do a lot of like travel related work. Some people want to be able to, go to certain communities that are underserved and underinsured, and provide some value to a community like that. And ophthalmology is relatively unique in that it offers almost like the perfect opportunity to do that, because you can fix someone's cataracts and completely change their life, and you don't have to like set up a practice there, or raise funds to build a hospital there so that things are continued. You can go for a week and just change hundreds of people's lives by helping their eyesight. So I think ophthalmology is a phenomenal field. Coley XL, what's up? Learn how to use the Anking deck right now in first year. I feel like I'm a coder. How would you suggest starting to use that, going back to old subjects while studying the current? So happy to hear that you're doing the Anking deck. That's going to serve you very, very well in medical school. First, congratulations on getting into medical school and starting. That's super exciting. I think, with Anki, it feels very overwhelming at first, and setting it up is probably one of the hardest things. I think I do have a relatively old video. It's a few years old on, exactly how I set up the Anking deck. And so feel free to look at that so that you don't have to feel like you need to know all of the coding and language and stuff like that yourself. You can just kind of follow along in the video and just set the settings how I set the settings. That worked for me personally. But the way that I would recommend using Anki in general is going through the entire step 1 season of pre-med, or of your pre-clerkships in medical school, not suspending cards. And so as you come across information in your blocks, you unsuspend those cards and you just continue doing them, and you watch the videos and you unsuspend cards and you do that. And the error that a lot of people make is that when they're finished with biochem and they're going into histology or something, then they suspend their biochem cards and just do histology. I think that's I don't think that's a wise decision, and it's a very common thing that students do, but I don't think it's the right way of using Anki, because ultimately the Anki app is designed not to help you do well on your biochem final. It's designed to help you do well on your step exams. And if you just suspend things, then you're going to be in the same position as people who don't use Anki, which is at the end, towards, when you're in your dedicated step 1 or step 2 period, then you have to relearn everything, and that is not a fun experience. So I would recommend just going if you've already passed a few subjects, and you're wanting to add those cards into your rotation. I definitely think that it's wise to just kind of set yourself up for a schedule, watch a video or two a week on older subjects, unlock those cards, and then just start adding those to the rotation while you're also adding cards in your current kind of block. And if you kind of get a 30,000 foot view and look at your calendar and say, okay, we're going to slowly do this, because you can have a lot of motivation on, weekends I'm going to get all of the first few blocks done in a few weeks. But in reality, you don't need to do that. You just take your time, do a couple videos a week or something like that, and, unlock those cards. Just to catch yourself up over the course of a few months. I think that would be a very, very wise thing to do. Hopefully that answered your question, Coley. Howard, so happy that was helpful. Arpit, so happy that you liked the last video. Yeah, that was a really fun one to do. What's up, Nihal? All right, we got about a minute left. Oh, I just realized that I was muted. Sorry, y'all know I'm not in college though. I'm an orthopedic surgery resident, so I've gone through college, gone through medical school, now a physician. But we are gonna get back to this work now for our last 45-minute grind sesh. I absolutely love being able to talk about topics of studying and learning and all those kind of things, you know, med school tips and stuff live. So hopefully this is fun for you guys as much as it is for me. But we'll get through this work and hopefully we'll have a monkey off of our backs at the end of this. All right. Happy that helped, Coley. All right. Shout out to everyone who is still here, getting that work in. Thank you so much for coming. There's one final actually question here from Samuel. Any insight on how AI will change surgical specialties or medicine in general in the future? It's definitely going to make efficiencies kind of a priority. So I think research is going to be, just more efficient. There's going to be, I think, a surge of publications that come out due to the efficiency of being able to conduct research now. And so that could help with the advancements of just medicine in general, because the advancements of medicine is built on research. So that's helpful. There's going to be, I think, waves of, potentially experiencing some downsides of that, though, with, potentially like research errors or things like that that are, built on the back of artificial intelligence. And so I think a lot of journals are going to have to be very intentional about, how they monitor and just review these papers, which I'm sure that they already are, but it's just something that people will have to consider. And then I just think general advancements are going to happen much faster. The use of robotic technology and other technologies in medicine and in surgery are going to happen faster than they would without AI, for sure. So, I think that's something that is exciting, and I'm excited to see what technologies come in that allow us to better take care of patients and, better take care of research and other work-related responsibilities. So that's exciting. One thing that's I'm a little bit nervous about is also just how AI can it's very easy for people to, take videos of other people and then use AI to, deepfake and, that kind of thing. So like authenticity is going to, become in question, and all of those kind of things. So there's some concerns there, but I think for the most part, I'm more excited about what it's going to accomplish in the positive realm than the negative. And hopefully we can also just have some stopgaps or some guardrails on AI so that things don't get too crazy. But I think it's going to be a net positive for the field of medicine. So thank you guys for coming. That's the last question that I see in the chat. I'm going to head out and get some. First time I'm actually ever playing pickleball. So I'm going to do that with some of my co-residents. Hopefully that you guys had a good session, got the monkey off of the back, got some work done. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one, because there will be a next one. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out yesterday's video that just dropped. It's about all of the study techniques that I recommend. And of course, if you really want the most in-depth, I think life-changing experience in terms of becoming a better student, check out my Evolving Student course, which we talked about before. 30 days, I think you can become the best student that you can be in 30 days. And that's a challenge that I created, and I think that you guys will enjoy it and get a lot from it. So check that out if you haven't yet. Yes, fair, it's time to get that pizza. But of course, until the next one, keep evolving, and I'll see you guys soon.